Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Tommy Wave Budget Deck Series. My name is Tommy Wave, and today, as you can see, we're going to be going through some sweet budget Warlock decks. As always, before we do go through anything, we do want to go through our criteria for the Budget Deck Series. Hello. As you can see there, we don't set an arbitrary dust limit for our deck. Instead, what we're going to do is make sure that we focus on the core of a deck, the kind of essentials, the meat and potatoes, the bread and butter, which can be about 4 to 6 rares, no epics, no legendaries. And what we want to do is make sure that you can have a deck, and then if you want to invest more dust, you have a reasonable upgrade path, so you can, craft those legendaries, those epics, and you can make those higher tier decks. And we're actually going to look at a couple of those higher tier decks in a second. The last point there, not something we're going to focus on too much right now, but it definitely becomes more relevant once the next set comes out this year, and that's that we're going to prioritize cards that aren't rotating. We want to make sure that, if I tell you to go out and spend 1,000 dust, that 1,000 dust is going to be worthwhile and it's going to last for quite a while. So, before we go into any of those top tier decks, I do just want to let everyone know, for these budget deck series, the stats that I use are all from HS Replay, and I do use the HS Replay premium feature. If you're interested in stats at all, or you want new decks, or you want to explore the all the decks that are available in Hearthstone, jump over HS Replays, check it out, and if you do decide to go and subscribe for their premium, you can use my referral link, and it helps me out. Without further ado, let's jump on over to these decks. Here we go. So, the first deck that I've got here, as you can see, is Even Warlock. Even Warlock has been pretty strong since the introduction of Gen Greymane, and it is a very powerful mid-range deck, possibly one of the most powerful mid-range decks we've ever seen. Gen Greymane allows us to hero power every turn, draw a whole bunch of cards, and then we can start dropping mountain giants on turn 3 or 4, depending on if we're on the play or the draw, which just makes it such an immensely powerful deck. Even though this deck draws so many cards and does have quite a few late game options, it is truly a mid-range deck. We've got big threats like Twilight Drake coming down as well. Shroom Brewer is going to keep us nice and healthy. This one's got a Lesser Amethyst Spellstone package in here. We can damage ourselves with Vulgar Homunculus and the like, and then use this as a strong removal spell in those mid-game turns. And if things do go late game, we do have Lich King and, of course, Blood Reaver Gul'dan, which doesn't necessarily bring back too much, but does give you a late game, powerful late game option, and you can kind of hope to turn the corner with that hero power. In terms of late game, if we're talking about Warlock decks, we want to talk about Control Warlock. Control Warlock has popped up, especially recently, as an answer to a lot of these combo decks. We did see a lot of nerfs to Possessed Lackey, Dark Pact, which really neutered that style of deck. But now with Demonic Project being one of the few true answers to a lot of these minion-based combo decks, this is the Control Warlock has jumped up, and it's really shining on the ladder as a counter to a lot of those decks, and even on in tournaments as a counter to those decks as well. Pretty straightforward, lots of board clears. We've got Doomsayers, we've got Defiles, we've got Hellfires, even a single Twisting Nether in here, Lord Godfrey, not uncommon to see the second Twisting Nether in there as well. And we're just going to try and control the game until we can kill our opponent with things like Rin. This one's got Skull Voidlord. Some don't even play the Skull, just try and naturally play a bunch of Voidlords. And then we've got Blood Reaver Gul'dan to res the team and turn the corner. Lastly, we're going to be looking at the most important deck, which is Zoo Warlock, or as it's been called lately, Heal Zoo Warlock, the Light Warden Warlock, anything like that. Zoo Warlock typically plays a bunch of very aggressive minions, things like Flame Imp, these kind of overstatted but downside minions, and aims to just run through your opponent as quick as possible. Recently, we've seen people invest into cards like Light Warden and Happy Ghoul and play kind of a heal sub-theme, and that has been... that is accepted as the true Zoo Warlock as it stands right now. So we've got those really powerful 1-drops, Light Warden as we mentioned. We've even got Voodoo Doctor, so we can damage ourselves with Flame Imp, then Voodoo Doctor to heal ourselves. drop a free Happy Ghoul. Fungal Enchanter can make this Light Warden absolutely huge if you have a remotely damaged team. And then we've got cards like Leroy Jenkins. Many decks play Doomguard as well. One is kind of accepted. Fungal Mancer, these types of late game reach cards to kill your opponent. And Keleseth on 2 is remarkably common as well because of recent additions like Saronite Chain Gang, and this deck not playing Doubling Imp rather. That's another card that's been really powerful, especially with Soul Infusion. Looks like this deck is kind of one of the older ones, not playing any of those new cards, but those are really strong in the current metagame. So we'll kick it on over and we'll take a look at what I've built for y'all for this budget deck series. So this is kind of the core of Zoo Warlock. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. Zoo Warlock's one of the more obtainable decks, especially as you see, usually it plays 1, 2, maybe 3 legendaries. So we start with the solid 1-drops, Flame Imp, just like we said, overstatted. If your opponent doesn't answer it, it can really get quite a lot of damage in. Kobold Librarian, just the consistency, allows you to trade off early, get on the board, get some damage in, but make sure that your hand is nice and filled with options for you to curve out. As we've said before, a lot of these aggressive decks, all we want to do is hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, curve out on our opponent, and kill them. Soulfire, part of that reach package, as we mentioned. We really don't want to be using this in the early game to remove things. We want to use it to get our opponent dead, but in a pinch we can. And Voidwalker as one of the other kind of premium 1-drops really helps protect, in the proper version, helps protect cards like Light Warden, those more brittle minions. In this, we're mainly just trying to make our other threats harder to trade into. I haven't included any 2-drops in the core because I think Keleseth is a really good craft, and I don't want you to be spending too much dust on any 2-drops when they're all going to go out of the deck once you craft Keleseth. We've got the Doubling Imps, this card we mentioned before, so 3 mana 2/2, Battlecry summons a copy of this minion. Very good with Keleseth because obviously it becomes a 3/3, so makes 2 3/3s, and extremely good with Soul Infusion. Which is this card here. Give the leftmost minion in your hand +2/+2. Obviously, if we buff this up to a 4/4, maybe a 5/5 with Keleseth, then for 3 mana, you get 8/8, 10/10 worth of stats. Utterly ridiculous. So that's definitely a card you can look to craft, or if you have, to slot into the deck. Saronite Chain Gang, exact same thing we said about Doubling Imp can be said about Chain Gang, except Chain Gang's a bit more reasonable to as just a 4-drop. Also creating those 2 taunts can really complicate things. Doomguard, this is both a budget version of Leroy, but also just a phenomenal card. I think I would never really leave home with less than 1 Doomguard, and I think 2 is totally reasonable, especially as it is only a rare. And lastly, we've got Fungal Mancer here. This is a card that really rewards us for getting onto the board. We've got Doubling Imp, Saronite Chain Gang, so we can produce quite a wide number of threats, and Fungal Mancer will really help us to solidify that and push through the damage. So let's take a look at the full version of the deck that I've come up with. So we've padded out the 1-drop slots with some extra Fireflies. I've gone for Glacial Shard here. We've talked about it before. Glacial Shard's not my favorite 1-drop, but I think in this style of deck, we really just want to stop our opponent from trading back into us. But we'll be keeping an eye on this one to see if, do we really need the freeze? Could we be playing cards like Argent Squire or Acheris Veteran, these 2 here, as they are kind of just more aggressive. They allow us to push our advantage a bit more, and Argent Squire is a bit more resilient to board clears. In the 2-drop slot, I've just gone for some nice common options for y'all until you get that Keleseth in there. Direwolf Alpha, we've talked about this before, rewards us for going wide, playing a lot of 1-drops as well. Amani Berserker is another fantastic 2-drop. Really punishes other decks like Odd Paladin who want to play a bunch of lower attack minions or things like that. And Unanswered can definitely get the game done really quick once that Enrage is active. And we've got Vulgar Homunculus here, which is just same thing as Voidwalker, going to help us protect these Direwolf Alphas, these Amani Berserkers, these 1 toughness minions from our opponent trading into them. Into the 3-drop slot, I've got some Tar Creepers in here. We might be going a bit overboard on the taunts. So we could definitely slot, say, if we wanted to spend a bit of extra dust, we could go for Vicious Fledgling in here, or any number of other kind of more aggressive 3-drops. But I'm testing out this Tar Creeper here today. We could even do stuff like Duskbat or something like that, or Nether Soul Buster to go with a lot of these self-damaging cards. But we'll give the Tar Creeper a try. 2 Spellbreakers in here help, you know, delete our opponent's taunts, get through some more damage, and in a pinch against, especially like Death Rattle Hunter, Spellbreakers are going to be really useful. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, we want to look to upgrade into like those proper Zoo Warlock decks. Just be aware that, you know, you probably want to craft all the healing cards at once before you start putting them into the deck, because they really are like a synergy-based component of the deck. So, you know, don't go crafting 2 Light Wardens and slamming them in here without the Happy Ghouls and without the Fungal Enchanters and all that stuff. Anyway, that's the deck. We're going to play some games, and hopefully we get some wins. Okay. Up against the Druid. Yeah, I think this is a nice 1-2-3 curve that we can keep. One of the great things about this deck, I think, is especially compared to the Heal Zoo Warlock decks. This deck, it mulligans a lot, maybe not a lot better, but it mulligans more easily. We don't have to worry about drawing our Keleseth. We don't have to worry about drawing all the heal synergies. Instead, we can... Why do you call? As you command. Instead, we can just focus on hitting the curve. I think that, you know, if you've watched any of our videos where we've played Zoo Warlock in the past, or other such decks, that's one thing we constantly talk about, is making sure we're hitting a curve. Sorry, making sure that we're mulliganing well and like trying to hit the Keleseth, but also trying to, you know, consider other heal synergy stuff. I think we'll go for the doubling imp here, and then next turn we might go for like Direwolf Alpha life tap. Kind of go wide while we have the opportunity to before our opponent has the inevitable Spreading Plague. Are they coining now? Are they coining Nourish? It means they can still play next time. Oh, okay. Oh right, of course it's quest. That's interesting. That's a really cool synergy here. So they use Guild Recruiter, and then this Steel Rager kind of functions as a removal spell. Luckily, we had the Voidwalkers out. Great, Doomguard's a real good draw. So we know they can't have Spreading Plague this turn, so we'll keep our board wide, but we'll definitely consider next turn trading into some minions, whatever our opponent chooses to play. 2 necklaces, 2 earrings, and a giant one to attach the front to the front of my Vesper. Wait. You have a giant bird skull that you can attach to your Vesper. Am I hearing that correctly? So what we'll do here, I think, is we'll trade and just go for the Fungal Mancer. I think this plays quite well around Spreading Plague. Only giving them 3. Nourish. I think this, if they're going for Nourish Draw, then we can't say that they won't have any Spreading Plagues. Do we just go for a Doomguard here? Like Soulfire Doomguard? That's unfortunate. something. Still have another Soulfire in the deck.
Me angry. Not away.
Okay. And we can put our opponent on 2, right?
A paltry
Do we want to put anything else on the board? Put this Berserker on
for a little blood.
in case they want to go for a swipe. Possibly a Starfall or something like that. Yes, that's exactly it. The Skullbird Vesper.
well played.
That's badass. They did have the swipe. They did have the swipe. Card game Nostradamus here.
Dark one snatch all.
I concede.
Got him. Interesting deck though. I'm definitely going to do a search on HS replays after this for Quest Druid decks playing the Steel Ranger. That seems pretty cool.
Man versus Malfurion.
I must protect the wild. Your soul
Okay.
shall be mine.
Up against the same Druid. Great. So we can actually open this one up with a glacial shard if we want.
Spectacular. Nice to meet you.
I think I'm going to coin out a Firefly here. Let us put our foot down with this Direwolf Alpha, especially if our opponent doesn't have a wild growth. It's going to be great. They don't. So it is great. Well, I guess we can go for Vulgar Homunculus. Then. Yeah, let's do that. Job done. If our opponent doesn't have a lot to do, like kind of turn 2, 3, generally most Druid decks don't have a lot to do on turn 3. They aim to, you know, skip 3.
Chill out.
Job's done. So they don't have a coin. So once again, this Spreading Plague can't come down next turn. But it can come down this turn. Steel Ranger? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Steel Ranger. I'm so impressed. Sweet, so maybe another Armani Berserker. I guess no need to tap, right? Like we have the Doom Guard, so...
Chill out. Why do you call?
It's time for a little blood.
Once again, kind of making things tough if they have the swipe. Do they... You know, if they swipe this Direwolf Alpha, then
Join the guild.
they're pumping
We
up
have
this...
cookies.
Oh.
I concede.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Throw.
Okay.
For Doomhammer.
Up against
Your
the
soul
Shaman.
shall be mine.
At least we got a 1-drop, but it is not the best 1-drop. But we got our curve here. This is good, so we can go Kobold Librarian and then hopefully dig through some more options, find our curve. That's exactly what we want to do. Get ahead, stay ahead. Direwolf Alpha is a good one. Sorry, Doubling Imp is a good one. And this Vulgar Homunculus is also really nice. We can use it to protect this from potentially a Firefly. We've got the Direwolf Alpha to follow up, so we can maybe trade this Kobold Librarian into a 3 toughness minion. Otherwise, we'll just go for the Doubling Imp.
Out of my jungle!
Interesting. I think we'll just go for the... Oh. I think we will go for the Doubling Imp here.
Stop copying me! Stop copying me!
I'll actually trade. So this does set us up for a Lightning Storm if they haven't. But this list is pretty low toughness, so usually the Lightning Storm will get shit. But I mean, that was a pretty reasonable opportunity. Not feeling 100% confident on this one. It feels like we're not getting a lot of damage in early.
Winter is here.
This Corpse Taker's fully charged too. And we don't have a Spellbreaker for it.
Nice to meet you.
This is going to be a problem. Oh, that's also going to be a problem. Problem City.
Chill out. Nice to meet you.
Just giving ourselves infinite draws.
Stop copying me!
Job's done.
Stop copying me!
If at any point they have Lightning Storm, Volcano. Actually, Volcano here would be fine with, because it would hopefully kill the Corpse Taker. Next, we've given ourselves like 6 draws to hit a spell. We are desperate at this point. Come on, come on! Yes! Finally.
Your magic shall not save you.
Why me?
Chill out.
Why me?
Why do you fall?
Alright. Now's where our opponent starts dropping fire elementals and blaze callers on us.
Truth is found in death.
Alright, so what's the best trades here? I can go 2 here, 3 here. Trade off there. Trade for one of these. So they'll be left with a Corpse Taker with 2 health. A lot more health than that. So do we tap Creeper? Or do we Creeper, Firefly, Elemental? Let's go Creeper, Firefly, Elemental.
Mage.
Let's get wide with these boys. Done. Because we don't particularly want to draw the other Doomguard right now. We want to deploy this Doomguard, then start tapping. We are getting pretty low, but I'm not super concerned about a deck like this bursting us out of nowhere.
To do.
You know, with like the Stormcaller Lava Burst and stuff like that. Though I think that's a pretty neat package.
Winter is here.
No. Do we have to draw 6 more cards to find an answer to this? Oh no. They could have gone for the Keller set. They went for the Corpse Taker. They know that this card on its own just freaks us out too much.
There is little time.
It's gonna be tough game. If we rip Spellbreaker off the top, though. Oh, deck, please.
Dares summon me?
Die, mage.
A paltry task.
Alright, hopefully in the next 2 cards is the other Spellbreaker, and we can hit this Corpse Taker as it comes down. I think that's our shot. A 1 shot! Oh. He's gonna Unstable Evolution 5 times. That's pretty bad. That's very bad. Come on. No whammy!
The red one tastes like cherries.
Oh, no Corpse Taker. Did they not copy the Corpse Taker? Maybe they drew the Alakir. Ah. Sorry, friend. I wonder if they drew the Alakir.
You win this one.
Interesting. I consider adding this person to asking. There you go. Oh, crushing it. Okay, we are back here with the Budget Zoo Warlock. We just went through 3 games and had some pretty good ones. We saw exactly what we wanted to see. The deck was all about curving out. We did that quite a lot. We also have quite a lot of options as we curve out because of the number of 1-drops. It gives us a bit more granularity, and especially with cards like Kobold, Librarian, and Firefly, we always have options. I think this is a really good deck for someone looking to just start playing Hearthstone, someone looking to bash out some quests with Warlock, learn the game, learn how an aggressive deck works, some of the pitfalls of the deck, like Soulfire and Doomguard, discard RNG and things like that, but also learn some of the huge advantages where we saw in that game against the Druid when they missed their wild growth on turn 2. As like one small hiccup just means that you can pile on so much damage. So hopefully you enjoy this one if you are a new player, and even if you're an old player, maybe just jump in and try some more old school Zoo Warlock. None of that new fancy stuff. My name's Tommy Wave. All the links are down in the description, including a link over to this deck over on Hearthstone, including a guide and a full write-up. Jump over there, give the deck a +1. Leave a lovely thoughtful comment, as I know you will. And if you haven't already joined the Tommy Wave Discord, it is also linked down there, the Wave Pool. New members every week and lots of good content. Until next time, though, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed everything, and I will see you soon. Stay wavy. Bye.